In this tutorial, we'll make a graph of data. One thing that's really important to keep in mind when you're graphing your work is that it's so much easier if you can take all of your totals and put them in one spot rather than having them spread out throughout your spreadsheet. You can still make a graph of that, but it's just a little more complicated to tell Excel how to do it. So I've just put in some values up here and some species codes here, and all I really need to do is highlight the columns that I want to make graphs of, or the cells that I want to make graphs of. I come up to the top and I hit the Insert tab, and I look over on the ribbon to see charts, and you can choose whichever type of chart you'd like to make. I prefer columns for this type of information, and you could pick any one you wanted, but just to keep it simple, I'm going to pick the top one. And then what it does is it just plops it in right on top of your workspace here. Now, a few things I want to note here. First of all, you'll notice that there's no axis labels here, so we need to fix that. And we don't want it right here. If we want to print it, it's much easier for it to be in its own sheet. So let's start by moving it to its own sheet. As long as the chart tools is highlighted up here, and if it wasn't highlighted, you can click on the graph and then you'll see chart tools come up, and you just click on the word chart tools and that ribbon will appear again. So I want to go to move chart. I want to put it as an object in, right now it's in sheet 1. Let's move it to sheet 2 and hit OK. Now if I come back to sheet 1, the graph is gone, but in sheet 2 it's still here. You can click and move it around. Let's choose a different type of graph so that we can have axis labels. So under chart layouts, we'll hit this button right here, and you can choose any of these types. I like this one because it actually has an X and a Y axis label. And then I can come in and I can type, I don't want that there. I can just highlight it, I can move it around. I can change the words in here to be species. And on this side, I can change that to say density in meters squared. Keep in mind that it is so important to always include your units. Numbers are worthless without units, so always include your units. And then if there's something in your chart you don't like, for instance that box right here, I can click on it and I can hit delete. And then I still need to insert a text box to describe which graph this is. So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger by clicking and dragging. Then I'm going to click on the graph until I get a square around the outside edge. If you're struggling with that, just find different places to click until that appears. Drag that smaller. I'm going to move this back up with it. And now I have some white space down here. So I can go to Insert, Text Box. I can draw in my text box, and I can label it Figure 1, and then describe what this is a graph of. Your graph isn't complete until you have a written description with a label Figure 1, Figure 2, Figure 3, etc. Now, if there's ever anything wrong with your graph, just click on your graph, then click on Chart Tools, and you can change all sorts of stuff up here. You could change the color if you'd like, although that probably wouldn't matter. If your data isn't right, this is an important point. Always look at the graph and see if it is reflective of the data you collected. Maybe your X and Y axes have been switched. You can switch that around and move it back and forth if it's not correct. Or you can select data, and you can make sure that you have highlighted what you planned on having highlighted here. You can add and remove pieces in this box as well. Okay, let's look at how to make the other graph. Coming back to your data sheet. Now, if your data that you want to graph isn't right next to each other, you can highlight it, highlight some of it, hold the control key down, and then highlight the rest, and still just follow the same procedure and make yourself a new chart. So it's really pretty user friendly. If something pops up you don't like, just hit the delete tab, it goes away.